Hello students, in this video we briefly describe view of view and thoughts of Sarupalli Dr. Radhakrishan on democracy. As we know, he was an eminent philosopher and a statesman who made a lasting and a unique contribution to the way we think about the world and about certain philosophical and social concepts like democracy. Let's find out why democracy is passing through a testing time and how we can save it. As democracy is passing through a testing time, as a political arrangement, it is not very popular. It has broken down in Italy and Spain. Russia and China are not favorably disposed to it. Even parts of Eastern Europe and South America, where the semblance of the popular representative governments is kept up. Strong misgivings are felt. Lord Bryce expressed doubt about the feasibility of a real democracy, except in small countries like Switzerland and Scandinavia. We welcome democracy as a release from autocratic rule, but we are not satisfied with its working today. We are coming to the realize that government is a technical art and only those skilled in can be the rulers. Democracy in its actual working rarely permits a country to be governed by its ablest man. It is an age of machine in politics too. In the name of democracy, some mysterious caucus in the background rule the state. The elected representatives have not any independence or initiative since they are helpless tools of a vast machine. The votes of the member are not influenced by their convictions or the arguments in the assembly or even the views of constituencies. The discussion is unreal, the debate is unnecessary, and democracy is only a name. The general effect of democracy have not been favorable to the freedom of the individual. In Europe and America, which are the which are said to be the most democratic and highly individualistic, individual life is least regarded. In the land of liberty, fundamentalism, Ku Klux Klan, and Nordic assaults on all other races and culture prevails. There are organizations which threaten distinct politicians with personal reprisals. In Soviet Rus, no man is allowed to choose what he will do. As technical efficiency is the end, every man is fitted into the machine at a point choose by the guide and trained for it. There is no liberty of action or freedom of conscience. Democracy had become confused with ignorance, lack of discipline, low taste. Our newspaper testified to them a democracy which reads mainly about the divorce and murders, dance halls, and police courts is cultured only in a superficial sense. Though educational facilities are within the reach of a large number, the level of culture is not high. It has become more easy to get into a college and more difficult to get educated. We are taught to read but not trained to think. I repeat it. We are taught to read but not trained to think. Popular educations, thanks also to the press, the film, and the wireless, has succeeded in furnishing the average mind scrappily through somewhat effectively with ill discussed bit of Freud and Jung, behaviorism and conceptionism, and various odds and ends. Those who know better are afraid to speak about, keep step with the average mind. Critics cries, mass impulse, crowd emotion, class resentment have been taken place of the authority and tradition. We have not the time or to competence to the judge about the problem that faces us, nor have we inclination to trust the leaders who have a proportioned perspective. As the mass is the most significant factor, its opinion prevail over those of the thinking few. A sort of Grecian law, mentally currency, but which could well considered opinion is being constantly driven out but by that which is hasty, impulsive, and bad operate. There is a tendency in all democratics to standardize thoughts and belief. Our mind works mechanically. The mechanization of mind is deadly to all creative enterprises. The highest creations are evolved not as the result of thinking according to the pattern, but as the outcome of insight, hard reflection, solitary meditation of man who are lifted above the common groove. Paradoxically, as it may seem, democracy is, in its actual working, is anti-democratic. Its central motive is respect for the individual, man by thyself, said Isban, and our democracies demand that we conform to a more or less conventional pattern where the inner life runs the risk of being stripped. There can be no progress in thought if we all begin to agree in our ideas. There can be no political equality. There is so much economical inequality. Labor, socialist, and communist organizations are attempting to capture the state and its machinery for the end of establishing a better social order. So, national barriers are broken down and class antagonism emphasized. Patriotism is a bourgeois sentiment and the workers must be rescued from the shakelessness of nationalist prejudice. My country is my class, says Wallace, and until the class antagonism are set at the rest, there cannot be true democracy. The political life of a community depends on the number of individual minds and wills which compose it. The play of thought and action is essential for the health of community. This cannot be had in the present argument. We must strive for some better way of conducting human affairs than the lottery of the ballot boxes. So, we can say that Dr. Radhakrishan clearly emphasized his thoughts on democracy, that it democracy is not merely counting of heads or counting of ballot. It should be the real power to the hand, real power to the hand of a poor person. We can also say that Sri Radhakrishan was highly influenced with a common thought that democracy is the only medium by which we can achieve equality and success in their life of every poor and trodden people. Before, or we can say, there are many challenges also which we are facing today, today's democratical conditions, such as we find that today's democratical conditions day by day are becoming grimmer because excessive use of money, excessive use of power, excessive use of position. The main objective of democracy was to fulfill the requirement of poor and downtrodden people, to make them life better to live, to set a concept of a welfare state where equal opportunities and factors made them as a responsible citizen of a nation. With his views of democracy, Sri Radhakrishan tried to explain that we should be aware of our rights and duties, because every single vote or every participation in democracy is a representation to the thought of a general mass.